Welcome to the Fate of Ukraine channel. Russia's shadow army desperately begs for help. The ensuing pleas were the last indication of the growing tension between Wagner and Moscow. Wagner Group mercenaries began begging Moscow to supply them with ammunition for the war in Ukraine, according to images that surfaced on social media. Wagner Group soldiers announced that they had a number of ammunition that was missing. Following this statement, Wagner Group applied directly to the Russian Ministry of Defense for support. Wagner fighters stated that the ammunition lines were completely cut in a video they shared on Twitter. "We are calling out to our colleagues and friends from Russian Ministry of Defense. We are confident that we have ammunition in stock somewhere and we need them urgently. Help us with ammunition," the Russian soldiers also made a statement. Thus, Wagner reproached him for the lack of ammunition in the region where his hundreds of soldiers were located. While Moscow is trying to organize to launch a new offensive in Ukraine this year, this latest development is also an indication of a growing split between the Wagner Group and the Russian army. The definitive indication of the military disagreements of Wagner and Russia came from near the Bakhmut front. Russia has been trying to control Bakhmut for months but is unsuccessful. However, mercenaries affiliated with Wagner Group soon began to make increasing gains. The Russian Ministry of Defense also seems to have taken a different stance due to the successes of the Wagner Group. Because Russian Ministry of Defense almost stopped helping the Wagner soldiers. Earlier this week, Wagner announced that he had taken control of Krasnoorad near Bakhmut. Prigozhin got the last gasp, claiming that it was the Wagner Group and only the Wagner Group that would eventually take over Bakhmut as well. After this situation, the Russian Ministry of Defense also stopped helping the Wagner Group. Even after these events, military analysts believe that the town, which Wagner Group began to control, will soon be controlled by the Ukrainian army again. Because Wagner can't defend more areas without ammo. Nor did the Russian Ministry of Defense mention Krasnoorad, which Wagner controlled, in its updates on the war. He pointed out that both Wagner Group and the regular Russian army have been in Krasnoorad in recent days, according to the Institute for War Studies and Ukrainian officials. While it was thought that Wagner could not make a defense in the region, Russian army came to the region. Tension reaches its peak. Yevgeny Prigozhin, leader of Wagner Group, said earlier this week that Wagner Group would have made faster progress on the battlefield if the monstrous military bureaucracy had not come before us. "We were going to check out Bakhmut before the new year," Prigozhin explained, according to AFP. Prigozhin officially stated that the Russian Defense Ministry was blocking them. Prigozhin, therefore, began to publicly criticize Putin's war effort, which has weakened in recent months. Putin appears to have changed his strategy this year, while Western officials have warned that Russia is preparing for a new offensive. In Russian army, the commanders changed again. He promoted General Valery Gerasimov to command Russian troops in Ukraine. At the same time, Putin appears to be the target of a campaign aimed at reducing Prigozhin's influence on the conflict in Ukraine. Some allegations appeared in the Russian media that Russia ordered the state media to refrain from promoting Prigozhin. Meanwhile, Prigozhin acknowledged that the Wagner Group's future in Ukraine is becoming uncertain. In his last statement, Prigozhin made a reproachful statement saying, "The number of Wagner units will decrease and we will not be able to perform the tasks we want." On the other hand, military experts gave some information that the Ukrainian armed forces could launch a counterattack in Bakhmut after the soldiers of the Wagner Group cried for help. Soldiers of the Wagner Group stated that there may be more than 50,000 Ukrainian soldiers on the Bakhmut front. After this statement, it was revealed that the outnumbered Ukrainian soldiers could launch a major attack in areas where Russian soldiers were weak. Since the Ukrainian army is constantly supplying ammunition in the region, it is also superior to the Russian soldiers. Russian soldiers in and around Bakhmut started to form defensive positions instead of attacking. Local sources state that the soldiers, whose artillery and tank shells are on the verge of running out, may be withdrawn from the region in the near future. On the other hand, first-class soldiers of the Ukrainian army completed a 5-week advanced U.S. training course on advanced combat skills and armored vehicles in Germany. Pentagon Press Secretary General Pat Ryder said the second group of about 710 Ukrainian soldiers had arrived at Grafenwehr training ground. The completion of the training of first-class Ukrainian soldiers coincided with a visit to the base by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. American Defense Minister Austin, who saw 630 Ukrainian soldiers, also met with the soldiers in the region. Ukrainian army has uncovered Russian defense systems near the largest thermal power plant in Crimea. A Ukrainian drone revealed the Russian defense systems near the Balaklava thermal power plant, which is the largest thermal power plant in the region on the Crimean Peninsula. The drone, which was used as bait, was shot down by the Russian defense system while traveling in the region. After this incident, Ukrainian officials stated that they also determined the coordinates of the Russian defense systems. Ukrainian army has recently started hitting Russian military bases and defense systems in Crimea one by one. According to official data, more than 10 Russian defense systems have been hit in Crimea alone since this year. With the emergence of defense systems in Crimea again, it is expected that Ukrainian army will launch a new attack in the near future. Spokesman of Russian Ministry of Defense Igor Konashenkov said that yesterday, they carried out an attack with a long-range high-precision weapon against enterprises that provide fuel and ammunition to the Ukrainian army. Stating that they hit some Ukrainian enterprises yesterday, Konashenkov said, the Russian armed forces carried out a point-and-shoot attack on the enterprises that provide fuel and ammunition to the Ukrainian armed forces with long-range high-precision weapons from the air and sea on February 16. However, as a result of the Russian attacks, many Russian missiles were destroyed in the air. Explosions took place in some parts of Ukraine, but Ukrainian authorities did not make any statement. He has made no statement at the moment about where Russian missiles exploded. However, it was also revealed that Ukraine, which asked for weapon aid from Europe, modernized its military equipment. The inexperience of the newly arrived soldiers of Russia, which declared mobilization, also increased the success of Ukrainian defense systems. It is quite remarkable that inexperienced Russian soldiers made unsuccessful attacks. It was also revealed that about half of Russia's T-72 model tanks and most of its T-80s were destroyed. Ukrainian army can easily stop Kremlin's latest attacks, as Russia officially puts old Soviet-era equipment on the field. The Russian army is officially attacking Ukrainian side with old generation missiles. The new generation systems used by Ukraine can easily stop the historical artifacts of Russian missiles. It was announced by the Russian Ministry of Defense that new appointments were made to the commanders of 4 military zones on Ukrainian front of the army. According to the statement made by TE Russian Ministry of Defense, Lieutenant General Andrei Mordvichev was appointed as the commander of Central Military District, Lieutenant General Rustam Muradov was appointed to command of Eastern Military District, Lieutenant General Yevgeny Nikiforov was appointed to command of Western Military District, and Lieutenant General Sergei Kuzovlev was appointed to command of the Southern Military District. Muradov, who has been the commander of the Eastern Military District since August last year and whose official appointment was announced today, leads Vostok Group in the operation in Ukraine. Muradov also commanded Russian peacekeeping force in Karabakh in 2020 to 2021. Mordachev, who led the operation in Mariupol and took the city under Russian control, replaced Alexander Lapin, who was accused of failure due to the withdrawal of the Russian army from the city of Lyman, which he controlled for 4 months last year in the war in Ukraine. Nikiforov, on the other hand, was the deputy commander of Eastern Military District from 2020 to January 2023 and led the Russian military units in Syria. Kuzovlev served as commander of Western Military District in October-December last year. Thus, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu announced that changes will be made in the staff of the army in January. Stating that Russia has launched the expected spring attacks, Zelensky emphasized that the Ukrainian forces will resist until they counterattack, but they need more military assistance from the West. Zelensky said, of course, modern weapons will accelerate peacemaking. Weapons are the only language that Russia understands. We have come to the end of another video. You can like the video to support us. By subscribing, you can easily follow new videos. See you.